Hello everybody, my name's James and welcome to the Planet FPL Gameweek 2 Deadline stream, and it's live and it's in partnership with our friend Peter Featherstone at FPL Team, the best app in terms of trying to plan ahead for your FPL team. And you can see my team. Screen grab taken from the app on FPL Team. Top right hand corner. One transfer made. Jordan Pickford is gone. And Gianluigi Buffon of Nottingham Forest is in and starts in goal for me at home to Sheffield United this week. For those who don't like the funny stuff, it's Matt Turner, obviously. And I reckon Sheffield United to score this week, but I bought him anyway. Below that on the screen, you'll see my predicted lineups for all 18 teams that play this week. That might help you with some of your dilemmas. Yes, I think Gabriel will start for Arsenal. We'll cover that, and no doubt, during the course of this stream. You'll also see the benching dilemmas directly below me. That's where there's two players together and the player with a tick is the preferred option. I am aware on page 5 that Kieran Trippier is on there and I can't get rid of it, and I don't know how to. FPL Captain's on the case. He's the man on the graphics as per usual. He's investigating what's going on. Give him a follow on the old Bird app. We don't know why Kieran Trippier's name's showing there instead of Alphonse Areola, but it is. So just live with it. You'll get the idea. My correct score predictions are to the left of me, and also you will see the top captaincy picks rotating on that screen as well. My preference is to captain Mohamed Salah this week. If you have in your team, yes, go for it. Johnny Pringle, our Manchester City correspondent, has even tweeted and said, if you had Salah, go for it. I think he thinks Manchester City are likely to be tired, and I think they might drop points against Newcastle. Personally, I'm still going to be on Haaland captain this week. I don't have Mo Salah. I didn't deem that it was worth a -4. Never really was entering my thoughts, to be honest, to take a -4 to force Mo Salah in. Happy to go with Haaland captaincy. And I would reiterate as well to say that if you've got the cojones to do it. You don't need to. Mo Salah will be a great differential anyway. But if I'd have started with him and he was in, I think I'd feel obliged to want to pull the trigger and captain Mo Salah. It's a difficult game for Manchester City this week. Although I think Bournemouth will present bigger challenges for Liverpool than expected. You might be surprised to see my prediction there of 2-1 to Liverpool. You might also be surprised to see me predicting Tottenham Hotspur to win a game of football this week. Right at the bottom of the screen, you also see the fixture ticker taken from official FPL's FDR. Next 5 game week fixtures for all 20 teams, and the countdown clock for the deadline is in the top left hand corner. The deadline, remember, is 6:15 p.m. UK time. Nottingham Forest Sheffield United kicks off at 7:45 p.m. so the deadline's 15 minutes earlier than last week. And no, the game is not televised in the UK, and that's because of Nottingham Forest's request to move the game from the Saturday because of a clash with the cricket at Trent Bridge. Let's get straight into the questions. Most of you know how this works by now. I'll answer as many questions as I can over the next 50 minutes or so. If there's anything to repeat or similar, thank you very much. Do us a courtesy of deleting it. I'll give you a shout out anyway, and I'll just move on. Lee Sherwood says Sky FF. Oh, that's going to piss everyone off, Lee. It says move Trent and Gibbs White to Watkins and Enzo/Jackson on Sunday, or just do Watkins and wait a week on Chelsea has already got Colwell. Cautious with transfers, newbie, not used any yet. Yes, I want to get a second Chelsea player on Sunday, but it's probably for me Morgan Gibbs White direct to that. I have Emi Martinez as I deem suitable Villa coverage for that particular fixture on Sunday. I might waver on captain Martinez, which I discussed on Wednesday's Sky Fantasy podcast. I did say I'd do it if Neil Maupay was in the Everton team, but as you'll see on my predicted lineups when it goes around, I do think Dominic Calvert-Lewin will start for Everton. Galazzo Bye, hello, how are you? Says, hey James, Rashford captain. It's not on my top 10, mate. Chris Wood says Rashford to Salah, or Gabriel to Chilwell, or Roll. You got the money to go Rashford Salah for free, Chris. I mean, if you've got the money to do it for free, I'd probably do it. Ethan says, currently playing is Stupinan, Chilwell and Ruben Diaz with Gabriel on the bench. Would you risk that or swap one of Gabriel Diaz for Colwell now? Yeah, I'd risk it. I'd crack on. I think for most people, in terms of like the Gabriel risk, I don't think he'll start. And I think for most people, it's probably a roller transfer. I think Zinchenko will come back into the Arsenal team. He played minutes in a behind closed door friendly with Luton this week, and I think that in turn will help Gabriel get back in the team. We'll see the back four similar to what we saw the most of last season. That's what I expect /predict, not what I know. I says, hi James, wishing you the best of luck for the game week. Thanks for the content and help you provide. Thank you very much. Good luck to you too. Says, would you start a non or a Turner? Really split and rarely pays off starting the 4.0 in my opinion. I agree it rarely pays off, but the advice would be, yeah, Turner. I'm trying to think of goalkeepers that I'd actually pick over Turner this week, like Alisson for sure, absolutely. Probably Aaron Ramsdale if I had. Emi Martinez if I had. There's not many others that Sanchez maybe. There's not many others I'd pick ahead of Turner, to be honest. You've got to fancy that as a clean sheet. Even Ben Tomo Thompson, our Sheffield United correspondent, she tweeted this afternoon. He said like he's not one that's pessimistic and he's normally really bullish. He's basically tweeted, he said he can't see them scoring tonight. Bloody Nottingham Forest away. How depressing is that? Hollis Stamos says, hello James, is Aurier safe to start? Asking for draft game. Yeah, it should be zero concerns this week. All I'd add is the Nottingham Forest are trying to solve a left wing back problem where obviously Ola Aina's playing at the moment, and longer term it might come down to an Aina versus Aurier duel. But I think Serge Aurier's done quite well for Nottingham Forest actually, so yeah, you'd definitely be fine this week I would say, or tonight even. Future weeks, depending on what they do in the transfer window, you might want to keep an eye on it. But yeah, it's his first choice, mate. Pushkar says, hello James, congratulations on bench boost. Cheers, mate. I told you I wouldn't go shouting about it. Says, yeah, we will only know real worth after game week 36, after game week 37. Correction. But you did great. Food for thought. Isn't it better to be a front runner than chasing, making such bench berth worth more? Look, I took a risk, I took a gamble, did something that's, I guess, pretty much out of character for me, and I went for it, and it looks like it's worked, but as I said, we won't know till probably right at the end of the season if it's worthwhile or not. It's returned okay, it got me the sort of score I'd be happy in a double game week. There was a risk element to it. I think longer term, yes, it probably pays off. Did I advise anyone to do it? No. Would I be comfortable doing it again? Probably not. I just think everything with the value of the players are wanted, the doubles further down the line, everything fell into place that made it the right decision, I think, for me. That's all. Tom Campbell says, afternoon pal, hope you're well. How do you see Villa reacting to Ming's injury in terms of defensive personnel? Matty Cash owner here, what we thinking? I think I just did a team news stream for advanced tier patrons, and a few solutions we discussed was buying Matty Cash actually, Tom. So I think short term, up to sort of roundabouts game week 5ish or so, you can pick and choose when you want to play him. I think it's a really good one for this week. I don't think there'll be many clean sheets, and I think Aston Villa might be one of them. And obviously, he's the sort of player who can chip in with obviously the attacking return. So yeah, if you owned him, you'd certainly want to start him this week. In terms of what they do, I've suggested they want to do something different. They've been linked with a lot of left backs over the last week or so. So I think they're trying to get something sorted in that area. There's every chance Luca Dean will get moved on, I think. But yeah, I think Cash is probably a decent solution for a lot of people right now who want to go to say Chilwell, can't force it because the price has gone and they're sitting there with like stones and they can't move it. So like something like Cash now to open the door for like Chilwell next week. Excuse me, I think it's a pretty decent move actually. Stephen Duffy says, hi mate, hope you're well. Would you play Shaw or Rico Lewis? Lewis, mate. Lewis. And interestingly with Rico Lewis, who obviously was kind of the solution for me last week to, I don't know, let's say give me Manchester City coverage to cover against losing John Stones. I don't regret it. It was the right solution for me last week, in my opinion, to go down that route. But interestingly, if Stones is out for a while, Lewis actually could become quite an interesting option. So I'm happy for it to sit there at the moment. He's obviously sitting first on the bench. I think he probably does start this week, but I also think Newcastle's a very tough opponent. I think we have 3 defensive players. I can't see which one of them I'll leave it. Could I play Lewis over Saliba? It doesn't feel worthwhile, to be honest. Yeah, so I think I wouldn't advise people to go and buy Rico Lewis as their solution right now. If John Stones was out longer term, maybe. John says, start Garnacho or Lewis or buy Gusto for free. At that one, I'd probably start Lewis. So I've got Lewis on my bench ahead of Luke Shaw and Garnacho. Garnacho was... I don't think Garnacho will start, to be totally honest. I'd be surprised after his performance Monday night. I don't know. That's the luckiest 3 points I've ever got in fantasy, I think. I don't know how he made it on the pitch as long as he did. He's a young boy. I'm sure he'll learn and improve. Most Man United fans tell me that he looks much better as an impact substitute as well anyway. I think he stayed on the pitch as long as he did because he was a young player, ironically, and Ten Hag didn't want to hang him out to dry, which is good management, really. I don't think he starts tomorrow. So, Lewis, I wouldn't rush into Gusto. On Gusto... I've got him in my predicted Chelsea team. But I've got that as part of a back three. We don't know enough about Axel Disasai to know if maybe he can cover at right back. Trevor Chalobah is out this weekend, but can also play at right back in a back four. I'd want to get some information on Gusto personally before I dived in there. That's my take generally. And I know Gary Mantle, our Chelsea correspondent, thinks similarly. He's like, look, take the game in this week. It's West Ham away. Sure, it looks good. What's the worst case? You buy him at 4.1 next week if he does really well. Like, that's what, oh my God, I've got to get him straight away. Like, no, I think I want to watch the game first. Pushkar says, my hand is itching to move Foden to Maddison. Not doing it this week, but if Maddison rises tonight, I'll miss the boat. How do you assess Foden versus Maddison starting game week 3? Well, look, it's hard enough to predict Manchester City team lineups for the game week right in front of you, never mind the one that's in 9 days from now. But I would foresee no reason why, with the status of the squad currently as it is, why Phil Foden won't start tomorrow and wouldn't start in game week 3, and therefore I wouldn't be moving him right now. Not at all. It's the price rise. The reality, right? If I said to you now Foden was going to start next week, what do you want? Maddison at Bournemouth or Foden at Sheffield United? I think that's quite an easy you're hovering, but you're hovering partly because of the price and the influence of one game. That's all. Tom Bolton says, choosing between Leno and Pickford this week, how much would you let owning and starting Visser affect that decision? I get what you're saying there, because obviously, ideally, you want to go for the all-in strategy and not have players playing against themselves. But Leno, as we saw last week, is capable of a haul, as is Pickford. Should Everton keep clean sheet? I think you just need to sit there and ask yourself, can you see Everton getting a clean sheet at the weekend? And if the answer is no, just play Leno anyway, mate. LP says, hi James, play Saliba or Henry alongside Chilwell and Estupinan this week. Cheers. Saliba for me. Arsenal's one of only 2 teams are back for a clean sheet this week. Hasselbank win says, thoughts on Manchester United bringing Greenwood back? Oh, that would be the end of the stream, wouldn't it? I won't get through any more FPL questions. Maybe it's something we'll cover at the end. I'm pretty sure me and Suj are going to pod on it. I did a little piece for advanced tier patrons. It was about 10 minutes, kind of off the back of a really excellent piece that Adam Crafton from The Athletic had written. And I know Adam's just released another article as well, which I haven't had time to read yet, unfortunately. Manchester United trying to push it through. They want it to happen. I think it's fucking disgraceful. Genuinely. And I think Manchester United are not quite prepared for the shitstorm this is going to cause. Honestly, I haven't heard any sensible Manchester United fan who wants Mason Greenwood to play for their club again. And if people are sitting there generally wanting that, I think they need to give their head a wobble. That's the short answer for now. Paul Rogers says, I've got Stones, Gabriel and James. What to do? Sell. Not Gabriel. I'd keep Gabriel. It's probably James to Chilwell. Is the sensible idea. Again, if you can't quite do that in one, then I think something like James down to Matty Cash and then next week Stones to Chilwell rather than a -4 now. Something like that is your way round it if you can't just go to Chilwell in one. If you've already got Chilwell, then to be totally honest, you've got Stones, Gabriel, James, Chilwell, all at decent value. Now's your opportunity to downgrade something and come down to a 4.5 or a 4.0. Coming down to the 4.0s this week doesn't feel right. Kabori Bay are obviously blanking. There's serious doubts about George Baldock's availability for Sheffield United and whether he might have an issue or not. And in any case, it's Sheffield United. Are you actually really expecting something? So I think coming down to, if you've already got Chilwell or you can't get there, coming down to a 4.5 seems like the right idea. And right now, probably for me, I'd Matty Cash. I think it's a sensible one. Or a little bit longer term, if you're not that worried about the points now, on something you want to use regularly early on for the next few weeks. Brentford got good fixtures. Henry, Hickey, Pinnock, all reasonable selections in my opinion. Daniel Evans says, Diaby or Mbumo for this game week? For this game week specifically, Diaby. Angel Ross, says, hello mate, what do you think of a -4 for Odegaard and Rashford, Salah captain, and Enzo or any 5 million midfielder? Good luck. Not for me, mate. It's generally my take. Ian PTSD says, evening James, would you start Shaw or Gvardiol? Probably Gvardiol. Basically end up in left back positions for the last half hour of what I saw the other day. So potential to get advanced there, maybe. I'm not convinced he starts. I've actually predicted City's same back four. I think you'd be pretty unlucky if he's a sub and comes on and gets a 1-pointer, would be my take. So I'd start Gvardiol. I'd start Lewis over Shaw, so it's probably the same answer, I think. Aaron Hill says, hi James, torn between Flecken and Turner, leaning the latter, but as a Blades fan, can't help but think our goal scoring chances are higher this week with new signing Hamer in midfield. All the best. Listen, of course, and with Vinicius Souza in there, I'm sure you'll be stronger as well. Vishal, if you're watching the stream, message me after the stream, mate, and we can look at it then. Sorry, I can't look at that now, mate. Turner for me, straightforward. It's a challenging game for Brentford. I actually fancy him to win, but it's Turner. Go for it. Sheffield United at home. I know what you're saying. Yes, there's more chance this week, but it's Turner. Just remove the emotion from it and make what I think is the right decision, really. Angel says, apologies for the second question. Best 5.5 replacement for Ruben Diaz from Gameweek 3 onwards, making a transfer tonight after deadline, as Diaz looks like he's dropping Gusto/Henry, or really doing this early transfers. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna. My advice would be, don't bother going early. Genuinely, Ruben Diaz might even play tomorrow. He's not ruled out, and you might be sitting here this time next week and thinking, I want to keep Ruben Diaz. And, again, I always say, look at a player and ask yourself, could he go back up in value? Well, particularly if John Stone's injury is serious and Diaz is fit, yes, he could. So my advice generally would be, don't make the early transfer. If you have to go early without seeing Gusto play, the answer's Henry, mate. Gavin Welsh says, no Liverpool coverage this week, which will be painful if they go off. I'm in a similar boat to you, Gavin. I think I knew the risk when I started. One of the things about the bench boost was obviously it was clearly going to restrict me in terms of doing that sort of thing. As it is, ironically, I could quite comfortably force Rashford to Salah. I had, let's say before the Turner move, I had 1 million in the bank. That put me minus 1.5 down. Easily downgrade something else 1.5 and put him in. He's never really been on the table for me, even though I think he's the best captaincy option this week. It's not particularly of interest to me with my setup at the moment. Sure, this week will hurt. I think most other weeks I'll probably be okay. Zaris says, play Turner or Pickford. This is a good European year for Panathinaikos Greece, but not for Spurs. It's a pity we will not play each other. That's certainly true, Zaris. I'd play Turner, mate. Rich F says, hi James, I'm trying to decide between Rashford and Maddison captain. Thoughts? My thoughts would be someone else. Between the two, Rashford. Just purely on the basis, even though I fancy Tottenham to win, Rashford's ceiling is higher. If United put on a really strong counter-attacking display, he can obviously do real damage to us with his pace. So Rashford from that perspective. Ricky Donahoe says, good evening, James. Who would you place first on bench out of João Pedro, Maddison or Odegaard? First bench out of that. Christ. João Pedro. You telling me that's your bench? João Pedro, Maddison and Odegaard. Mate, if you've got a goalkeeper, just bench boost, mate. Seriously. Cosmos says, hi James, I was planning to roll the transfer this week instead of moving Timber out, but with the James news, do I make a move sideways to Chilwell, Saliba perhaps, or play Baldock instead? You can get Chilwell, just get Chilwell. It's pretty straightforward for me, I think, at the moment, mate. Yeah, just do it. James is your best hope for Reece James is probably going to be available game week 5. And you're going to be losing value in between now and next week. And if Chilwell does well again, it's flying. It's flying. This time next week could be sitting there and James is like 5.3 and Chilwell's like 5.8. Just get it done. If you can get there, just do it, mate. Pushkar says, what is the Udogi situation versus other left-back options? Is Perisic completely out of the picture as a left-back for Mr. Postecoglou? Yeah, as a left-back, no consideration other than an emergency, I'd say. Perhaps if we're chasing a game very late on and he wants his full-back to hold touchline, might see that maybe. Start, no. Udogi's competition is Ben Davis. Sergio Reguilon will almost definitely be sold. He's been strongly linked at the moment with Real Sociedad. What No Graphics says, hello James, Archer to Jackson. I've no playing bench this week and who knows when Archer will move or where he'll move. Why hasn't it gone through yet to Sheffield United? I know there's interest from Luton as well. Goes to Sheffield United, he plays, I think. That's not necessarily a certainty at Luton, but I think Villa would only let him go there if they really thought he was going to play. No playing bench this week. Depends how many risks you got in that 11, right? Have you got players in the 11 you're worried about? If you haven't, then don't worry about it. You'll end up with 10. Suj is always keen to stress this. Is like, don't stress about these sort of things. Like, if you end up with 10, you end up with 10. If the 10's good. So, how happy are you with what you've got is what I'd say. I don't know. All I'd say to that as an extra is, do you think you're going to make that move next week? If you do, then yeah, you may as well do it now. Rob H says, Captain Turner is Sky tonight. How do you rate his chances over other Forest? I said on Wednesday's pod that I thought probably the way it had landed is that, you know, if you were going to go in and buy someone specifically, which I don't advise, then Turner was probably the best captaincy for that single game day tonight. If you're not on anything, I'd skip it for Sky managers, by the way, as said on Wednesday. But yeah, if I was sitting there with Turner and Gibbs White right now, I'd probably captain Turner. So I think it's probably the best option. No, Brennan says, hi James, start short. Eze. Excuse me. Eze, mate. Just as talisman. He's not one you'd often want to leave out. I've got him on a bench in dilemmas. I'm pretty sure he's quite comfortably clear of Luke Shaw on that. The one, Noni Smith, can you explain why the choice of Turner with Johnson rather than Pickford? Yep, I can. So my original thoughts was, yep, Turner, Pickford, really good short term. Sort of up to about game week 9. Turner and Pickford's a better combination. But the way I've landed with kind of only Haaland, if you will, really. I know Lewis is there as well and not kind of a full complement to City. I'm probably less likely to wildcard around about game week 8-9 now than I'd originally thought. So for me, I'm looking at a combination that's perhaps a little bit longer and I can just forget about for quite some time. And so I've gone with the option of Johnston, which I think pairing with Turner up till sort of game week 17-18, yes, even that late, is much better longer term than Pickford. And so that's why I've gone with Johnson. That's not to say I won't wildcard around about 8-9, but I've decided to go with the longer term option because it gets a bit choppy for the Turner Pickford rotation sort of beyond game week 10ish or so. Whereas with Johnston, it still looks like a good combination pretty much right up till game week 19 actually. It never gets worse than I think Fulham away or Tottenham at home. I think it's as bad as it is all the way through. I did, if you want to check my timeline on Twitter, I did post an image up of some combinations of Turner, Johnson, Turner, Pickford and Turner, Areola up to game week 19. And I mean, if you look at that, you'll probably understand why the decision is made. Florentine P says, hi James, playing Bumo or João Pedro? Ooh, João Pedro for me, mate. Ricardo Di Matta says, hey James, who is best Chelsea replacement for James? Gusto questioner, what do you think about a Robertson punt? Not keen on the Robertson punt. Unless you knew you were going to, if you're going to wildcard in game week 3, I said, yeah, crack on, do it for 1 week, absolutely fine. No, if you've got coverage, then I think it's probably roll. If you haven't, again, I come back to them 4.5s I mentioned, Matty Cash or perhaps the Brentford guys. James says, evening James, would you bench boost Pedro, Foden or Havertz this week? Oh, sorry, I've completely misread that. Would you bench Pedro, Foden or Havertz this week? Can I be honest with you? I think from that lot, the one that's least likely to start is Havertz. I haven't actually got him in my predicted Arsenal teams. I think that's got to be my answer. Matty H says, best of luck this game week, mate. And to you too, Matty. Mr. Dyer says, I have both Salah and Haaland. Who is best captain for this game week? The recommendation is Salah. However, if you are risk averse and don't like taking risks, just stick it in Haaland. Salah will be a great differential for you anyway. Sam Baxendale says, hi James, thoughts on the Elise situation? Surprising, great news for Crystal Palace. He's obviously signed a new contract. I suspect there's probably an alternative release clause in there along with a big pay hike. Rory said on Clash of Correspondence that he thought there was a lot of murmurings had been caused because everybody knew that Palace had offered Zaha 200,000 a week, and there was a lot of others going, well, I want some more money. He's got it, obviously. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of release clause in that's better for Palace next year, and Elise gets a better salary now, and it's a win-win for everyone. I don't think it was a rush for him to look and go to a different club, to be totally honest. Particularly as what's looking like a transitional year, perhaps for Palace, not spending big, Hodgson in charge, Zaha gone. I think it's good for Palace to keep him around, and it allows him to stay as a kind of a key, important component in that team. Plus he's injured, right? So when he's back available, he knows what system he's walking into and stuff. James Brennan says, hi James, Nakamba to Basuma in Sky, cheers. No, I think you can make that move after the Luton West Ham single game day. So I've got that in mind. No, just need a little bit more Basuma information before I could justify making that jump. But I do think, based on what I've seen so far, I think Basuma's going to be great in Sky. Prox Cause says, should I do Welbeck to Visser this week, considering doubts around Welbeck starting and I have a weak bench this week? And you're absolutely certain that Visser starts? I think week's break, I think Brighton probably pick the same team. That with the amount of forwards they've got there's always a little bit of element of risk to all of them. But I would imagine Welbeck plays, and therefore my answer would be no, carry on, roll a transfer. It's going to be the common theme of answer, guys, where if it's like, oh, should I don't know what to do, roll a transfer. For me, there was a clear strategy in terms of what I'm going to do longer term, and knowing, because I had Pickford versus Villa and Johnson versus Arsenal. In game week 5, I have the exact same thing again. And in game week 4 or 5, I don't want to be making goalkeeper transfers. So I've decided to do that now. It puts a little bit more money in the bank, which also allows me, for example, if I wanted to, say, João Pedro to Nicholas Jackson next week, I think it's the right decision for me to make that change, considering I'd come off a bench boost. But for many of you, if you haven't got the injury doubts, yeah, I know if you've got the injury problems, of course, I completely understand it. But if you're sitting there and you've landed in a position where you got Chilwell, you got Saliba, you've got Estupiñán, and you've got 7 good attackers, roll the transfer. Please roll the transfer. It's so powerful for you next week with Chelsea's swing of fixtures, and you may even be sitting at this time next week thinking, oh, I want to get some Tottenham players, for example. Roll the transfer. Dragon Josiowski says, Pep's comments got me worried. Rashford, Bruno and Watkins. Jesus. To Salah, Diaby, Mbeumo and Jackson for a -8. Cheers. Right, hang on a minute. Oh, okay. So Pep's comments got you worried about what captain Haaland. Okay, well, the reality is most other people are still going to do that, mate. So you're just as worried when the team drops tomorrow night if Mo Salah's blanked and Haaland's in it. So -8 because what? Because you're worried maybe that Haaland doesn't start. You're not actually even selling any Man City players there, Dragon. No, can't just. How big does Salah have to outscore Haaland for that to be worthwhile? No, selling Watkins home to Everton as part of that. Rashford, Bruno against wide open Tottenham. No, mate, sorry, I can't advise that. Lacer says, stick or twist on Stones if you've got Gabriel as well. Not seen any injury updates or news on Gabriel, so sorry if there's an obvious answer. There isn't an obvious answer. As I've said, I think Gabriel will probably play. And I think it will be regrettable for people if they sell if he does play, because there's still good fixtures to come, and that's going to save you a transfer. John Stones, the rumour that went round yesterday that FPL Raptors obviously got a source that informed him yesterday, and they were getting a lot of criticism because these John Stones training pictures went about. Well, he got injured in that session. Looks like that information was correct. Guardiola didn't specify a muscle injury, but from the source yesterday, he suggested hamstring. If it's hamstring, it's not 1 week. Sell John Stones from that. Gabriel could play. John Stones won't play. Sell John Stones. Matt Fowler says, hey James, which one would you bench out of Grealish, Richarlison, Odegaard, Bruno, Jackson or Alvarez? God. Grealish. That's madness. Grealish, least likely to haul. FPL Casuals, hey ho mate, trust you and the family doing well. Yeah, good mate, hope you are too. Jovan says, hi Amez, sell James or wait. That's a clearer one for me. That's like, yeah, he's going to be out for a few weeks. Get it done, move it on. Even if, like I said, if that's a case of moving, say, a 4.5 defender now because you can't get the Chilwell and sort yourself out next week. Gavin Richardson says, is there ever any case to go Sanchez? I presume you mean Robert Sanchez rather than Davinson Sanchez or Alexis Sanchez or any other Sanchez I might have forgot. I can only think that you mean Robert Sanchez. Christian Romero has been given the all clear to play tomorrow anyway. Robert Sanchez, not yet. I just think Chelsea could buy another goalkeeper. They probably will, even if it's another number 2, so I wouldn't be rushing to that one. Thomas Hogberg says, evening James, need your help with who to bench. Bruno, João Pedro, Jackson or Mbeumo. Played bench boost last game week. Jeez. It's not good, that. I'm going to refer to the benching dilemmas, and therefore you'll find your answer is Nicholas Jackson. That's awful. Stephen P says, hi James, who would you bench between João Pedro, Mitoma and Mbeumo? It's also awful. Mbeumo. Adrian Cook says, Gabriel to Colwell now or hold this week. Planning to go double Chelsea backline next week anyways. Yeah, it's a hold for me, I think. Pushcar says, how serious is the concern over Haaland and other City attacking options with KDB injured? Mahrez gone, Gundogan gone. They didn't look good versus Seville. Yeah, you can spin a narrative and just say Haaland just hoovers up even more goals, which is exactly what we discussed on Correspondent Week. That actually is even more onus on Haaland and his responsibility to score goals now. So you can spin that narrative either way, mate. Jack Tasker says, do you know how many of the 220 players you predicted were correct last week? No. I will keep a track of it, and I have got it written down. If you bear with me, this is shit for everyone, sorry. I will tell you how many I got wrong. 4, 8, 9, 12, 15, 16, 19, 20, 22, 25, 28, 29, 30, 32, 34, 35, 37, 39. There you go. So I got 181. I did say to someone on our Patreon Slack, I said if I get 200 it'd be a miracle. 181, which I think for game week 1 is probably on par with where most people would have been. Neil Grover says, hi James, sorry to say I have Salah captain as discussed. Yeah, we also discussed, Neil, on Correspondent Week. You came on, you said Salah always scores against us, and I went, well, what about that 9-0 what he blanked in and the penalty he missed last year? It's fair to say he's due. He's definitely due against Bournemouth. Island Boy FPL says, hi James, best Salah for one free transfer. Do chuckle Mika to Mbumo for the longer term. Look, if you can get Salah on a free transfer, crack on, work away. And I don't hugely want to put people off -4s if they definitely want to captain him. I just don't think it's quite justifiable. So I don't think Liverpool will slap Bournemouth. I'm sure they'll win. But Andoni Iraola's record at Rayo Vallecano against the big three in Spain, Barca, Real and Atletico, is quite astonishing. In his 12 La Liga fixtures against them, they lost by more than a goal once. That was to Atletico. In their 4 games against Barcelona, they got 10 points. So, yeah, I just wouldn't be in a rush. I just wouldn't be in a rush personally to get it done or make it happen. That would be my take currently. So, no. But for free transfer, yeah, sure. Free transfer, get him in, captain him, wonderful, magnificent, etc., etc., etc. Isn't it nice to come towards deadline and we're not actually expecting any team news that's going to properly bother us? Can you wait till team news and ticks will be there at 6:02 with screaming orgasms in the background, and it will be George Shelby starting in goal for Nottingham Forest. George Kenny says, start Henry or Doggy this week. Not sure whether Rico will be as interesting in the back 4. Ironically, arrives later, and I think he can be just as much. They're literally next to each other on the bench and dilemma screen. So, yeah, just Henry. Ben Gale says, happy Friday, playing the game with 85 million this year. Any bargain picks that stood out for you in game week 1 you think I should keep an eye on? Not as such. I mean, I was asked on Monday's pod, and the piece I did for the advanced afterwards, like, who really kind of piqued your interest game week 1 that wasn't in consideration. My honest answer was no one really, but Wolves, actually. Like, there's a few to keep an eye on there now, maybe. I'm not saying go and buy, but yeah, keep on radar perhaps as some cheaper options. Fixtures aren't great, but if you can manoeuvre game week 5 and 7, they're potentially rotatable, maybe, which I don't know if you want to go down that strategy with the way you're playing that game or not. It's not something I particularly thought about. But no, there's not anything massively that stood out. The obvious ones, the 4.0s, like a Bayer will be good longer term. I think Issa Kabore, obviously neither of them play this week, for example. Enzo, he's one to watch, actually, 5.0. Richarlison, OOP, etc. That's probably going to get towards sort of your premium level of what you're thinking, I'm going to guess. Someone like that would be OOP. Yeah, but the answer, no, not really. I suppose you're playing around with 4.5s and stuff at the back, aren't you? No, there's nothing that, if I'm honest, Ben, nothing that overly stood out, mate. Neil Grover says, my big dilemma, I presume you meant sell, Neil, Trossard for Maddison or Richarlison or other options. No other major fires, bar a bit light on the bench if I don't move 1 million in the bank. I'd be surprised if Trossard starts, so that's more one where, yeah, I had more justification to go first. My general opinion right now, despite the fact he really gives me the hump, is I still think Richarlison, personally. And I mean, it's easy to look at Arsenal. Maddison took a free kick that was headed in, and the second assist was little fortuitous. Admittedly, yes, he created other chances, including Richarlison's one real chance in the game. But if I had to buy one right now, I think I'd still go Richarlison. It's my personal opinion. Wouldn't judge that necessarily on one game. Richarlison's 0.5 cheaper, and he's going to play regularly up front in this team that's going to create a lot of chances. The only question is, can he fucking hit a cow's ass with a banjo? Well, I don't know. Benamino says, chance of Cash starting in game versus Everton. Yeah, high. I wouldn't particularly have concerns about that, to be totally honest. 90%-ish. Project FPL says, have Gabriel Akanji, Estupinan and Chilwell. Would you make a transfer or roll weak bench? If transferred to who? That's a roll for me, mate. You'd be unlucky if you get neither Gabriel or Akanji. Joe Nicholson says, hi James, would you bench Bruno, Pedro or Mitoma? Bruno, reluctantly. Tom Ramson says, would you start Gabriel with no bench or James to Colwell and bench Gabriel? I think either option there would involve me wanting to start Gabriel, to be totally honest. I think so, yeah. Look, I can only tell you what I think, and I think that Gabriel will start. It's just my opinion. How confident am I? 65-70%-ish. If you go to Colwell, I think you've got to be absolutely sure that's where you want to go. And it's West Ham away. Like, really confident a clean sheet? I mean, you're saying you pick him over Gabriel, in fairness. If you really believe it, go there. But I think for me, you know what, it's easier said than done when you're sitting there with no cover. I get it. I think I would stick with Gabriel. I think I'd chance it. I think. Dylan Ferner Rose says, who do you reckon might win the Champions League this season? Think if Kane kicks on Bayern are a good shout. Not based on bits I've seen since Thomas Tuchel took over. No, not particularly. Okay, let's say it. Don't be surprised if it's a Manchester City and Arsenal final. Meniam Ahmed says, bench one of Foden, Havertz, Richarlison, Jackson. Havertz. Frederick Hertz says, hi James, Stones to Henry or roll. Got Baldock. If I make this move, I can't get to Jackson without a hit. If you make this move. I'm not sure if that should be if you don't make this move. Hang on. Stones to Henry or roll. Got Baldock. If I make this move, I can't get to Jackson without a hit. Surely you can if you do make the move. Then again, if Pedro and Nketiah do well, I might not want to go to Jackson anyway. Yeah. That's an easy one. I think Stones to Henry, something like that's quite sensible, to be honest. Nathan Joblin says, alright fella, Sky FF question, you thinking Jackson still? I want to go Gibbs White to Bissouma, but Enzo could be gold. Enzo or Bissouma for you? If I was buying this week, probably Fernandes on Sunday. And just stock up on the Chelsea. Take a couple of games of information, come back, if we're sure, on Bissouma. So, yeah, I think it's probably going to be Thiago Silva Jackson maybe for me. I mean, Thiago Silva is the most likely for me at the moment, I think, personally. Adam says, hi James, which one would you bench between Foden, Mitoma and Mbumo? Foden, Mitoma and Mbumo. Mbumo, reluctantly. Daniel Dumata, hi James, not keen on -4 for Salah. KDB is the dilemma. Diaz as a punt or go for Maddison based on fixtures. Me and Suj had quite a bit of a discussion about Diaz on our Patreon podcast this morning. Quite like him for this week. Not sure I'd want to look at it away to Newcastle next week though. It feels a bit FOMO to go Diaz now, I think, at this moment in time. KDB's got to go if you've got, that's obvious. Yeah, I think between Maddison and Diaz at this point I'd probably go Maddison. Daniel Cullerton says, hi mate, what was your thoughts on Van der Ven debut? Hope you have a good game week. Yeah, decent. Brentford's a challenging game, right? Physical and fast forwards, can be quite direct at times, wanting to play the ball into channels. I thought he did okay. He was obviously really unlucky on Visser's goal. It's a reactionary thing that happens quick. Yeah, I thought he did fine for a debut. I don't think it told us if he's going to be amazing or not. I thought he did absolutely fine. Heather says, hey James, Colwell or Pau Torres as first sub? Sure, is Stupinan Saliba starting? With the fixture, that's got to be Pau Torres, isn't it? Home to Everton. Raf says, any chance of Trossard starting? Yeah, there's a chance, mate. I don't particularly think he will. Clayton, seriously, mate. Yeah, it's probably a good reason for that, but no one will actually notice. Who's next? Joseph Cole says, hi, who would you bench out? Martinelli, Matoma, Foden, Pedro. This feels like it's been quite a repetitive theme. From that lot, yikes. Foden as the one that is least likely to start out of that, maybe. Yeah, probably. David H says, hi James, happy Friday. Bench 1, Bruno, Gibbs White, João Pedro, and Maddison. It gets worse, this. Gibbs White, honestly. Kanji FPL says, start Saliba or Konsa. Saliba. Miklas Gaming, do you think I should play Visser or Lewis? Visser. Owen Armo says, hi James, love the content this week. Is Jackson or Bissouma the best move from Gibbs White for Sky? I have 0.3 in the bank and Colwell is my only Chelsea asset. I think under your circumstances, it's Jackson. I could well end up with 3 Chelsea on Sunday, mate. Ashish Shukla says, hello James, looking sharp. Who should I yeah, okay. Should I start Akanji or Shaw? Akanji. Andrew Gonin, how confident are you in Lewis starting rather than Gvardiol? 55%. Not massively. Jay Dungill says, please give some explanation on prediction of Spurs versus Manchester United. Yeah, sure. I watched Tottenham on Sunday and I watched Manchester United on Monday, and I think that's enough reason. You're going to get a very different Tottenham now. I'd expect us to have a lot of the ball tomorrow. I think that Manchester United could counter-attack on us really well and hurt us pretty badly. I think that's fairly obvious. If Manchester United show the same intensity against us that they showed against Wolves, the result will not be in question. Honestly, I think if that happens, we'll win comfortably. What I think they'll probably do is bring Christian Eriksen into the team and shore that up a little bit, and that'll help. But Eriksen's best on the ball rather than off the ball, right? And I think we'll pull them apart. So, look, if they play like they did Monday, honestly, it won't be close. And I'm sure they will improve. And as said, I think they'll bring Eriksen into the team, and I think they'll play differently. I wouldn't even be hugely shocked if Lindelof started and Martinez played in midfield. If that happens, it won't surprise me in the slightest. United need to do something different from what they did on Monday. And my team, I'm infused. It's going to be a big atmosphere tomorrow. It really is, honestly. Cyrus Bernard says, what's your thoughts on City squad depth? Losing Gundo, Mahrez and now KDB. Feel like they won them so many games last season. So look, we've got Kovacic in. You've got young players developing like Palmer. Does it feel like they're a little bit short at the moment? Yes, it does. But, you know, people would have said the same about United in 95. Hello, Alan Hansen. So they'll be all right because it's the quality of their football, right? Palmer's a good talent. Palmer's ready to be part of that first team squad. So you can always put Palmer in for Mahrez. Gundogan is replaced by Kovacic. Okay, you're a little bit less on the goals output, admittedly. But let's also remember they were without Foden for the majority of last season, really. He's carrying an injury basically all season. And you could argue he's now the replacement for KDB. So if I sell it to you like that, it's not hugely different. But I do agree, it does certainly feel a little short. I think they'll do something before the window shuts, though. Luke Curtis says, evening James, start Sanchez or Turner in goal. Turner. Ethnic says, hi James, I'm torn between starting Shaw and moving into Chilwell because I'm getting cold feet about United's defensive stability. Money, no issue. Wanted to hear your thoughts. Cheers. Yeah, I'll do it. Because you're definitely going to want Chilwell next week. Unless you know a different plan where you're going to Chilwell next week. So yeah, I'd get that done. And I'd be absolutely delighted to take the Manchester United points that you got on Monday and run away from them, to be honest. Jeff says, hey James, great bench boost, love to see it, thank you. Sean24 says, own Stones, Gabriel, Baldock and Kabore. 0.5 in the bank. Stones to Chilwell and hope Gabriel plays. Stones to Chilwell and hope Gabriel plays. Stones, Gabriel, Baldock, Kabore. Who's your other defender? I presume it's someone that's going to play. Yes. I wouldn't be taking hits around that. Yeah, just do that. Dermot Whelan says, Mitoma and Boomer are Pedro to bench. You must have heard my answer by now. Thank you for the question, Dermot. Chris Shetty said, would you go from Pedro to Jackson a week early if that's your move for next week anyway? No. Chim says, need help with a massive benching dilemma, mate. Bench one out of Rashford, Martinelli, Maddison, Mitoma, Watkins and João Pedro. Mitoma. Fucking hell, mate. What is that? Daniel Ludd says, only real decision I have is Saliba or Doggy. Team is great. Is it crazy to go with Doggy? Could see him be involved in goals tomorrow. You could, but Saliba's far more likely to get you the 15-pointer than a doggy. So Saliba, mate. Trini says, James, great stream as usual. Who to bench out of Foden, Jackson and Pedro? Jackson. Alex Richards, who would you do Foden to Maddison this week? No. Sean says, hi James, heading down to your gaff tomorrow. What time does Chicken get busy from, and is it rammed post-match? Post-match can be. You need to probably get there quite quick. Pre-match, anything later than 4 o'clock, forget it. From 4 o'clock, you will have a minimum half-hour queue, if not 45 minutes. Honestly. People die for that shit. It's the best fried chicken in the world, and I won't be told different. Benji Burrows says, can't you Spurs? Didn't see Gabriel in your bench dilemmas. Do you see him as a serious risk? Gabriel or Gusto? Play Gabriel. Gusto's a risk as well, mate. Jack Tasker says, on wildcard, pick 3 out of Rich, Maddison, Pedro and Mitoma. On wildcard, I'd be tempted to go without Mitoma. As mad as that sounds. I'd be tempted to do that, and then you walk into those 3 good Spurs fixtures already in place from next week. I'd be tempted to leave Mitoma maybe, but I also have a preference for Richarlison and Maddison. So Richarlison, Pedro, Mitoma, and leave the money in the bank. Patrick Moffat says bench Foden, O or Jackson. I presume the O is Odegaard and not Norgard. Jackson. Tell me one. -4 Rashid Salah. No, I could do it and I've not. Benjamin Light Forson says even James starts Saliba or Cash. That's a little different to the Saliba or Consa one. Probably Cash. Jonathan Little says, hi James, would you do Havertz to Maddison or give it till next game week? Cheers. Would I do it? By the way, guys, about 7 minutes to deadline. Make sure you're getting yourselves locked in. Havertz to Maddison. Yeah, I'd probably do it. And then, to be honest, at least then you can come back for another Arsenal option if you want. Kieran Newland says, is Salah to Maddison a good move next week to open up some budget that could get me from Mbama to, say, Jackson, for example? Yeah, could be perfectly reasonable, but that's next week. Kimmy said, I sold Rashford to Maddison this week. Please call me an idiot. I need it. No, you're fine, mate. I wouldn't advise it, but you've done it. There's no point having regrets. Daniel Scar says, I got Gusto in game week 1 as my 4.0 defender. Do you think I should start him over Saliba this week? No. Day 2 says, hi James, I have Saliba and Gabriel as well as Hockey. I presume it's meant to be Hickey, Kabori and his stupid name. Would you get rid of Gabriel? Don't have enough funds to move him up, so can only go 5.0 or less. So you chose to go double Arsenal defence. Look, if you end up with, what have you got there? Saliba, Hickey and his stupid name. That's perfectly reasonable this week, right? Roll. You're saying it will just play Hickey. I mean, the sensible answer on that is Hickey first sub, I think. Pranjul says, what do you think of Luis Diaz as captain prospect? Like, if you fancy it as a differential, great. It wouldn't be top of the agenda for me. FPL Big Licks, Coventry fan here, wishing Hamer and Sheffield United good luck for tonight. Hashtag baller. He has looked at it from the bits I've seen. Yes. Kalyan Adakari says, bench 1. Solanke, Mitoma, Colwell, Eze. Colwell. Petter Ladshaw says, bench 1. Mitoma, Bedro, Foden, Visser, reluctantly. Neil Kager, thanks James. 1, hit the like, folks. Yes, good point. It's about 20% of you have hit the like. It doesn't cost anything. It's free content. Just hit the little thumb, just tick, tick, and you can hit the sub button as well, and it'll be free as well next week. Same time next week, just 15 minutes later, to be totally honest. Yusuf says, should I sell Gabriel for Henry? No. Jordan Murphy, which Rico, Henry or Lewis? Henry. Is that the start? Is that the buy? I mean, to buy a Henry. Ibrahim M says, if wildcarding, what players are must for you? No one's a must, mate. You've got the wrong stream. Ricky Donahoe says, but for me personally, if I was wildcarding right now, Mo Salah definitely goes in. And Haaland definitely goes in. Definites. Anything else is debatable in this particular week. If I was wildcarding now, definitely they go in. Definitely Ben Chilwell goes in. Yeah, you get the idea. Ricky Donahoe says, start Pedro, Maddison or Odegaard. Sorry, I didn't phrase properly earlier. Pedro. Shurikan81. Is there any good 5 million mids? I currently have Enzo as my 11th player. He might be the best one. I think one of them Bournemouth ones will develop in a few weeks, but not yet. Keep an eye on Ryan Christie. Nathan UTS says, draft question. Bench 1 of Awoniyi, João Pedro, Gakpo, Jackson. Awoniyi, I'm not even convinced he'll start. Genuinely. Thomas Hogberg says, evening James, need your help with who to bench. Bruno, João Pedro, Jackson and Bumo. Played. I've already done that, haven't I? Gianni Remy Nielsen says, hearing a narrative that Arsenal might drop Gabriel and play Tomiyasu Tierney as they now invert from right back. Thoughts? Yes, of course that they could do that. They could also invert from right back and just use Gabriel as their left back rather than Tomiyasu or Tierney. Have you considered that? It's also a possibility. But Danny says, hi James, start 2 of Mitoma, Pedro and Foden, the Brighton players. Saeed Subur Abbas says, would you bench Gabriel for cash this game week, James? Yes, that's an easier one. Amgad says, bench 1, Mitoma, Jackson, Martinelli or Bruno and play the rest. Jackson. Island Boy FPL says, buy Salah for free or chuck Wamika to Mbumo. Again, if you can get Salah for free, I'd probably do it. Connor Lachlan says, evening James, first time watching, would you start Jackson or Eze for this weekend? Jackson. DW says, Foden, Fernandes to Diaby or just roll. Amgad, repeat questions, just get muted in here, mate. Ashish says, Shaw or Akanji for this week? Akanji. James Smith says, hi James, love the streams. Made an error and picked Mudryk. Should I stick or twist? Stick, because they picked a particular tactical setup for Liverpool last week, and it's not impossible that Mudryk gets back in the team, and you might be sitting again. That's amazing for next week. So stick for now, mate. But probably ideally bench if you can. Jas says, thoughts on transferring Diaby in for either Eze or Mitoma? Not massively keen, to be totally honest. Next week you got Diaby goes to Burnley and then Liverpool away afterwards, whereas Mitoma's got 2 home games. And Eze's got Wolves at home next week. So, no, not hugely keen. I mean, it's a great option, but again, it's another one I think roll, get more information. Abdullah Ramos says, Jackson, Rashford or Mbumo? What? Start, bench, shag, marry, avoid? Which one, mate? Jared 1993 says, hi James, hope you're well. My decision this week is to start Turner or Martinez. Currently on Turner, rolling the transfer. That one is one of the rare ones I said I would go Martinez. Frank Seagull says, bench Foden, Eze or Pedro. Eze for me. Sebo Slice says, Sky question, Timber replacement for or defender. Thinking Watkins. Thanks a lot, mate. Another Chelsea player, if you've only got one, mate, would probably be the advice there, mate. Meninda Prihar says, Gabriel owner with Gvardiol first bench and nothing else this week. Still roll and take 10 on the chin this week. Gabriel owner with Gvardiol first. Well, Gvardiol could play, couldn't he? So yeah, on the chin, mate. Mark Wright, it's another one. Glad I got him next week. Mark Wright says, hi James, first year playing FPL, new to the stream. Would you bench Akanji or Saliba? Akanji. Less sure of the starts, and I'm actually backing Arsenal for a clean sheet and not City. Pat the Doggy says, love your pods, first live stream, looks so slick, keep up great work, thank you very much. Noah Van Ugen says, who to bench from Mitoma, Pedro and Flecken versus Turner. So I'd pick Pedro over Mitoma and I'd pick Turner over Flecken. Len Wambo says, hi, can you advise if Gabriel is likely to drop in price after deadline? I've not been looking at statistics, to be honest, but have a look at fplstatistics.co.uk would be my advice. That will give you an indication. Many M. Ahmed says, bench 1 of Foden, Havertz, Richarlison, Jackson. Sorry for asking again. I'm going to answer it again. Except this time I'm going to say Havertz. Excuse me. It's about 2 minutes to deadline, guys. Make sure you're getting yourselves locked in. I haven't been informed of anything that's in any way relatable in terms of team news or anything for the weekend or tonight's game. Jimmy C100 says, play Gabriel or Enzo, have a great week. Gabriel, I think, upside. Shin Sekai says, hey James, hope you're doing well. Who's to bench between Garnacho and Gabriel? I'd bench Garnacho. Ryan Mack, hi James, hello Ryan. Colbin Olafson says, start Asula or Baldock, both on 2.0 predicted points on review. Here's one for you, mate. I don't think either will start Asula out of the two. Craig Boy Crook, Eze or Foden, James? To start, Foden. To buy, Foden. Joville says, Rashford captain, congratulations. FPL Dugaboy 88 says, hi James, when Levy going to spend Kane money? When he manages to sell some players first. Chris Briggs says, hello James, start Pau Torres or Gabriel? Torres. Hunter Type says, hi James, who to benchman? Vissa, João Pedro, Eze or Martinelli? Thanks, Eze. Ibrahim has a lol. Joville says, what are you counting, dear? I was counting the amount of players that I predicted incorrectly last week. I'm not going to do that next week. Ryan Max says, thanks for the content. Benching headache for me. Bench 1 of Richarlison, Bruno or Pedro. Bruno. Arabia Felix says, is Baldock fit? Not convinced. I don't have the information. Badman says, Planet Dreamland, Spurs 2-1. Hope you're well, fella. Listen, I get stick all the time for being too negative about Tottenham, so here we go. I'm positive about tomorrow. Ryan Foster says, hi James, Sonny or Richarlison over the next 5? Richarlison clearly, Sonny's not worth that money at the moment. Ali Paksan says, hi James, is Salah and Haaland injured? Don't know where you're getting that from, mate. Amy F says, hi James, start 2 from Mitoma, João Pedro and Mbumo. I think we've done this. We'll start the Brighton players. Casey says, hi James, start 1, Foden, Jackson or Mitoma. Mitoma. MVS says, do I bench Jackson or Mitoma? You already know that from the last answer I've given. Abby says, can't move James out without taking a hit as I've got 4 Arsenal. It's deadline, guys. That's why I'm laughing. I'm in no way laughing at that particular question where someone might have decided to be a bit clever and get 4 players from one team and then realise they've got a problem. And it's never worked. It's never worked for anyone ever, I'm afraid to say, because of exactly this sort of scenario. Right, that's it, guys. Deadline, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much for all the questions. Sorry to those I didn't get to, but I tried to power through them as quick as I can. If anybody's got any non-FPL questions, I'm happy to hang around for 10-15 minutes or so and cover them off. If you just came for the FPL, thank you very much. Smash a like, hit the sub button. See you next week. Deadline stream is 5:30 next Friday. So you'll be back with me for the Game Week review podcast on Monday. Our stream will probably be Tuesday. I haven't decided on the final schedule yet because we are pre-recording Clash of Correspondence on Monday night. So I might put it out on Tuesday, and that is Chelsea versus Luton with Gary Mantle and Dan Ashby ahead of the very, very important game week for Chelsea. So I might put out Tuesday. I'm loath to move Clash of Correspondence from a Thursday, but I think that might be the sensible idea. I can tell you the following week's going to have to be at Friday, by the way, because of other commitments. So it might be Chelsea Luton Clash of Correspondence with Gary Dan Tuesday, Sky Fantasy Wednesday. Therefore, it might be Ask James Thursday. And then next Friday, what are we doing next Friday? I don't know, maybe a People's Poll, a podcast. If you haven't caught it earlier, obviously I recorded with Lauren Harris, who joined me for a World Cup preview podcast about a month ago. She joined me again this morning. We were recording at 8 o'clock this morning to get a preview out for you of the World Cup finals. Lots of discussion between, obviously, on England and Spain ahead of Sunday's final. Go on the Lionesses, go and get the job done. Patreon content next week will include, for intermediate plus tier patrons and above, Q&A on Monday, transfer window show with Clayton Tuesday, Tottenham Wednesday, Money in Football on something Thursday, and our Game Week 3 preview podcast on Friday. There'll be more video content, obviously, advanced tier as well. If you want to support the show, www.patreon.com/planetfpl. I don't promise to make anybody a better FPL manager, but we'll try and make the FPL season more enjoyable for you. If you either want more content or just want to support the show, we would be very thankful. As Suj always says, it keeps the lights on. Right, let's do some non-FPL then. George Kenny, cheers James, good stream. What are you having for dinner tonight? Not a clue, but I did see some chips got bought earlier, so I might be in for a treat, mate. And the advanced tier patrons will tell you that while doing the team news stream, I found £26 in my pocket, so I might even go in with a cheeky Uber Eats offer. But if there's chips anyway, I'll probably better off saving that for a rainy day. Static says, non-FPL question, how's Harry? For thoughts on Kane leaving, haven't heard your thoughts on the transfer. I'm going to presume that the question of how's Harry is for those who are new around here, asking about my son, who's called Harry, who's 4, and he's starting school in a little over 2 weeks. Just a little bit shit yourself stuff. Yeah, he's doing great. He's fine. He's happy as. In terms of Kane leaving, I discussed it quite a bit on the Ask James stream last Thursday because it was kind of right after the news broke that obviously the deal had been agreed between the two teams. So look, it's disappointing. There's no point pretending differently, but I also think if it was looking realistic that there was no chance of Kane signing an extension, then Tottenham have done the right thing. Not for money reasons. The money's irrelevant, to be totally honest, because you can't really put a value on a player like that who means more than his valuation as a player. There's almost no price on him, right? If he'd signed a 6-year contract, which he did 5 years ago, there's no price that would have bought him. Literally none. There's no price that Tottenham would have entertained if he was on that sort of contract. So the money's kind of irrelevant. It's more about, for Postecoglou and trying to start with a new team, that it's better that he goes now, I think. And understand there's going to be fluctuations, I think, this year. Like, I think it wouldn't surprise me. I'll give you a perfect example here. the sort of things that may happen with Tottenham this year. It wouldn't surprise me if we dominated Manchester United tomorrow and won very comfortably and then went to Bournemouth next week and lost. Like, I think Tottenham are probably going to have a little bit of that this season. But it's better. It was better for Postecoglou. Brand new system, new tactics, very offensive when the team's been drilled on completely defensive football for nearly 4 years. That it was better to break now rather than integrate this year with Kane and then know that you can't replace Kane, therefore you have to buy a different type of forward next season. So I've been mentally prepared for this for a very long time. Those who've watched these streams for long enough will know I sat 3 years ago after Tottenham lost the game to Sheffield United just after restart from COVID, and I told everyone then Harry Kane has to leave Tottenham, and he couldn't leave Tottenham. So I get it. There's no way I can't be angry about it in any way. I'm playing fucking Conference League football. He's got to be playing in the Champions League, right? He's genuinely world class and in the conversation for best forward in the world, as in number 9 forward. So of course he's got to play at that level. I wish him luck. I'm not massive on the idea of him coming back in the future. I think there's a nice narrative to it, but it's very dependent. Like, if Tottenham are doing great and playing, expressive football with interchanging positions and stuff, and on the cusp of something really good, then bringing Kane back is not the right solution in a few years, as much as it might feel nice emotionally. So, look, he's the greatest forward I've seen at Tottenham. He's probably the greatest forward I'll ever see at Tottenham. I wish him the very best of luck. I'm obviously disappointed he's gone, but I completely understand it and don't have a huge amount of anger about it, to be totally honest. So, yeah, it's sad, disappointed. Of course, I'd have preferred him to stay, but I get it. I really get it. Sebo Slice says, Defo signing up for the plan. Of course, yeah, you can access my planning spreadsheet from Basic Tier Plus, which has got all sorts, particularly handy for Sky players. Kia is 95, and particularly handy for those who want to plan forward in their weeks, right? I have like a rolling difficulty tracker where you can look forward weeks at a time and see what the difficulty is and stuff. Care is 95 says, hey James, regarding United, do you think people are overreacting based on one game versus Wolverhampton? Is there cause for concern? I think we have to say right now it's one game, but I also think it's okay to say, yeah, cause for concern, based on what we've seen, because that was not clever the other day. Oh, look, Suj is ringing. He's missed the fucking deadline, hasn't he? Well, I think he was rolling anyway. Hello, boss.
Hello, mate.
You are
talking about Kane.
You are on speaker and you are on the deadline stream.
Still talking about Kane.
Someone asked me about Kane. I answered the question.
Still talking about Kane.
Yeah.
This time next week, are we still going to be talking about Kane?
No, we're gonna be talking about Lucas Paquetá being a naughty boy.
Right, what did he do?
Oh, right. Well, you better get off this call and get yourself on the internet.
I know that his deal fell through, and then something was cited as personal reasons.
I suggest you get on the internet and start looking. Naughty boy, allegedly, I should say. What?
Is he that naughty that he's not going to play on Sunday?
No, probably play on Sunday. Yeah, you should be all right. I mean, judging by what happened with a certain Brentford forward, you should be all right for a couple of months, I'd say.
Oh, Brentford forward. Okay, seeing as it wasn't.
You disappeared, mate.
Fine with that, mate. Good. All right, cool. Speaking of it.
Did you make any transfers?
Nah.
All right.
Powder dry, mate.
Morgan,
Can I answer more questions about Kane?
Are you set on Morgan Gibbs White in Sky tonight?
Yes.
Good stuff. Speak soon.
I'm buying Richie tomorrow. Not Richie, Isuma. What am I talking about?
All right.
Isuma tomorrow.
Good luck. Lots of love. Bye.
James.
Yeah, Suj.
How do you feel about Kane leaving?
I feel fine about it, mate, as I just explained. Dickhead. When he sees that Paquetá news, he's going to have an heart attack. Where was I? Sorry. I think I answered your question, Kirkes. Dylan Ferner Rose, what's the silkiest, most creative number 10 performance you've ever seen live? It's literally the easiest question I've ever been asked, and the easiest question ever to answer. That would be Lionel Messi for Barcelona in the Champions League at Wembley against Tottenham in 2018, which is actually regarded as one of his best ever Barcelona performances. And it was an absolute honour, despite getting torn apart by him. It was an absolute honour to be there and watch him that night. That was, tick box, brilliant. Yeah, great. By miles. Nothing even close to that, mate, I don't think. Garlic25 says, rolled this week, wanted Diaby for Bruno. I don't know if this is FPL, so I don't know if I'll bother to read it. Rolled this week, wanted Diaby for Bruno, but felt it's too knee-jerk. What signing you think has been best so far? Have a good weekend. Thanks for the content. James Madison, there you go. Ian Parrin, hello my friend, says, hi mate, if you were entering a Sky FF team right now, how many changes would there be from your current squad? I don't think many, Ian, to be honest, because I'd still want a Forest player tonight and then be planning to move that on. So no, not many, not 2 or maximum 3, I think, Ian, even though I'm saying I might make 2 transfers on Sunday. One of them would be moving Gibbs White on, who, therefore, if I was starting it now, I would start with. Or maybe I'd start with Turner and move to Sanchez, for example. I don't think many, I didn't have a great week, but yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm quite content with it. Jay Barker says, why is Ange so damn likeable, and have him and the dad off Bluey ever been in the same room? It would be strange if he's ever been in the same room as a cartoon character. Why is he so likeable? He's told you that. And I do this as well. I get away with it as well. You just use the word mate. So the thing is, mate, listen, mate. He says mate to everything. That's how he gets away with it. Young Green says, tell people hot like before they leave. Hot like before they leave. I don't know if he means tell people to smash a like. Kimmy says, let's go Lionesses. Absolutely. Cyrus Bernard says, you're going to watch Women's World Cup fight. Absolutely. I think I even mentioned this on the pod we did with Lauren. If not, I discussed it with her afterwards, where the wife said, what's the plan Sunday? And I said, well, it's an absolute certainty watching the Women's World Cup final. I said, if I miss the Premier League games, miss the Premier League game, I'm not missing that. Jared 1993 says, Family Guy or Simpsons? Mrs. Really likes Family Guy. Close. I'd probably rather watch a Family Guy now, but I think Simpsons, you've got to credit that for what it's been, right? Andrew Sand says, of the top 6 recognised clubs, which manager is most likely to lose their job? I don't see Klopp being Liverpool manager at the end of the season. This is interesting. So we was asked this on our Patreon Q&A on Monday. Because I think it's been, I can't remember the stat, but it's been a really long time since someone in the Big 6 didn't leave during the course of the season. I can't remember the number of years, but longer than you'd think. So the question was like, which one's most likely to go? And it's like, on Monday, I was looking at it and going, well, Postecoglou's just got there. Pochettino, it's just got there. I can't see Klopp leaving Liverpool. Guardiola will leave City when he wants, and I think Arteta's extremely secure now, and Ten Hag's going into his second season. If I'd have been asked the question on Tuesday, I'd have said Ten Hag, based on that Monday performance. Like, that performance can't continue. And it did strike of a questionable, are they believing in what was happening there on Monday night? I don't know. Again, to answer one of the previous questions, but it's one game. It's one game. But go on then. If I'd say now, which one of the 6 most likely to go during the course of this season? Fine, I'll say Ten Hag. Brian says, thoughts on the Saudi League joining UEFA? Not keen, and if that's happened, then I'm not aware of it. Keith Rowley says, good evening, James. Good evening. Sean says, hi, James. Favourite Spurs United memory, the 5-3 and 5-2 games stick out for me as a red. Interested to hear a Spurs view. Always been a fixture I look forward to. Few 3-1s. 98 Wellington Cup quarter final. Couple of goals of Chris Armstrong, Ginola. Brilliant goal, left footed from distance. Probably that first. 3-1 in the league the following season. Stephen Carr scored a worldie. The 3-1 win at Old Trafford on the Monday night. And in fact, also the 3-2 win at Old Trafford, which was the first time I'd seen Tottenham. I wasn't there. But the first time we'd won at Old Trafford since 1990, I think. that was in sort of September-ish 2012. It was one of Mr. Dembele's first games for Tottenham. Give Bale the ball and he ran the length of the pitch, strode away from Rio Ferdinand, buried it bottom right. 1-3-2, and it was the grimmest final half out. He absolutely battered us, did everything but score. That was a big deal at the time, because that was obviously Ferguson's last season as well. So winning at Old Trafford then was a really, really big achievement, and I'd never seen Tottenham do it. So maybe that one, maybe. Obviously the final game at White Hart Lane as well, the 2-1 victory. Atmosphere, I can't even describe it. Just amazing, beyond amazing, unbelievable. Best atmosphere I've probably ever heard at an English stadium for a game that was essentially irrelevant, but it just happened to be Tottenham's last game at White Hart Lane. That and the game before, which was against Arsenal. Which, talking of which, Ray Qureshi says, James, what's your morning skin routine? Wake up, have a coffee, go to the toilet, get in a shower, go to work. In terms of like skin routine, do I use anything on my face? No, mate, no. I've had a shave and haircut today. Jan Remy Nielsen says, have a nice weekend all, and to you too. Akrit says, what's on your teletext mug? I've got a Brentford 4 Man United 0-1. I get asked this a lot. This is from the Champman FPL season, and it's Teddy Sheringham's 90th minute winner at Highbury in the Champman FPL season 1. When I was doing the streams, and very much enjoyed it, and the Chatman community bought me that mug. Cyrus Bernard would like everyone to like the stream, people. Yes. Ibrahim M says, can't help but think Harry made the suboptimal choice. Barry Morrison says, hi James, Sky question, Morgan gives white to Jackson on Sunday, Diaby to Richarlison as well, or save the transfer? Only Sunday coverage just now is Colwell. Why do you want to go Diaby to Richarlison? I've got to assume you meant Richarlison to Diaby. In which case, no, I wouldn't do that. Zachary Jones says, what Sky move should I go for? Stones can't really get a midfielder. Chelsea defender, mate, on Sunday. Static says, appreciate the thorough response on the Kane transfer, James. Glad Harry's well. Thank you, mate. Jay Barker says, what do I do with John Stones and Sky, by the way? So you go Chelsea Sunday. Static says, tell Such to sod off. Diraj says, I've ordered my Kane Mania jersey, delayed shipment by 2 weeks. Plan was to wear it tonight. Okay. Matthew Hogban says, hello James, Sky question, already have Enzo from Chelsea, would you move Lisandro Martinez to Thiago Silva on Sunday? Already have Watkins captain coverage, cheers. Yes. A Wood says, are you going to the ticket protest tomorrow, mate? Yes, I'm intending to. Yes. Mr. Anderson says, hey James, who would you like to take the pens for Spurs now? Pedro Porro if he was on the pitch. None of them will be good. Generally, Pedro Porro if he was on the pitch would be my top choice. I've seen Maddison take penalties, I've seen Son take penalties, I've seen Richarlison take penalties. None of them great. So it's not good. Honestly, it's not good at all. I would best bet seriously that Pedro Porro would be the best penalty taker in the Tottenham squad. And please don't misconstrue that as in if Emerson gets injured and Pedro Porro's in the team, Pedro Porro's taking penalties, like he probably wouldn't, right? I'm just telling you, it's a little bit like when Trippier went up for England in the World Cup against Colombia, and I was in the pub and most people were shitting themselves. It was probably the most calm I was during that shootout. I didn't have any doubts about him because I know the way he is technically and stuff. So yeah, I would guess that it will be Son or Richarlison, and neither will be good. Son should be good, but he's not. Whoever's on it will miss one this season. Jim says, best of Simpsons is far better than the best of Family Guy. D-Raj says, hey James, do you gain vocabulary by reading books? Do you read books? I don't have time. I read articles on football. Jim says, don't forget the 4-1 when Armstrong went mental and Prunier was playing for Man. Of course, New Year's Day, 1996. Yes. Do you know why that's not in my memories? Because certain someone scored for Tottenham that year, so it's kind of removed from my brain a little bit. Both teams were absolutely decimated. Yeah, it was a good night though. That was actually the first time I saw Tottenham beat Manchester United. Rockplayer 123. Who was better in your view, Robbie Keane or Jermaine Defoe? I've done this before, so I keep it quite short. What I would say is, I think most Tottenham fans would say Robbie Keane. I would say Jermaine Defoe. Love Jermaine. It was one of them. You just knew if he'd have half a yard and a chance to score. It's just this little pocket of fire. Absolutely brilliant. Robbie used to frustrate. Really used to frustrate. But what a player. Like his partnership with Berbatov in 07-08 was probably the best front two partnership I've seen at Tottenham. So it's a difficult one to answer. But I would say Jermaine. Andrew Sands says, what did you make of Stefan Dalmat at Spurs? I watched Palace lose 3-0 under Dowie in the Cup years ago. Canute scored a hat-trick, but Dalmat ran the show. Yeah, it would have been third round of the Cup, wouldn't it? 04. Yeah, he was a talent. He had a little spell around December, January, where he went fire. He scored a goal against Wolves in December. It was a joke of a goal he scored. It was one of the best goals of the season. But it was fleeting. He could play, but he just wouldn't work in a modern team with the amount of tactics and fitness involved and stuff. Talent. Let's say an enigma. Andrew Sands, that's what I've done. T-Taf says, Mr. Deadline gang. Oh no, you rolled a transfer like a lot of people. Zizou says, I have money. Do you think Trippier is worth his price in isolation? We're not doing any more FPL, mate. Joe Matthews says, thoughts on Watkins over Haaland for captain? We're not doing any more FPL, mate. Jeremy Lawless says, I've captained Rashford. I'm not doing any more FPL, mate. Jeremy Lawson says, I also really enjoyed what I heard from the Palace correspondent. He speaks very clearly and intelligently. Great choice. Yeah, Rory's a good lad, isn't he? Really good, yeah. And another one appointed from our Patreon community, and that's what we want to do going forward. Yeah, if you, to be honest with you, I'm serious. If you ever want to be a Planet FPL correspondent in the future, you probably need to be on our Patreon, because I will get someone from our Patreon almost definitely. And Rory's a top guy. Talia BM says, what's your plan with Garnacho? You can sit there for the time being. It's not a priority. Awood says, these Orban links intrigue me because he looks so similar to JD in trouble in style. I've not seen enough of Orban to be able to give credit, but or pass judgment or comment, to be totally honest. But I suspect if Tottenham get enough players out the door, then yes, that's a transfer that may happen. Frankie the Gent gets the final comment of the stream, says, I'm eerie. I don't know what IRI is short for, but I'm thankful. Guys, thank you very much. Enjoy. Jay Barker, the answer is no. I'm going to leave it there. I don't think so, personally. Move it on. You've got 4 games, someone else, plus a captaincy. Come back when they play Burnley in a couple of weeks. That's in relation to Morgan Gibbs White. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Remember, it's a long one. It's Friday to Monday. So if you do well tonight with Turner, it doesn't mean you won the game week. And if he concedes and you've got him, or if you don't own him and he does well, it doesn't mean too much, right? Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the football. I'll be back with Suj on Monday. Take care for now, everyone.